Greetings, this is the final milestone for the banking app in CST235, so I'm just going to run a demo of the application and focus mainly on the new features that got added, which is customer login and customer creation with connections to the database. So we'll go ahead and fire it up. So opens up with the main menu. We've got two options. We can manage customers and we can do customer transactions. So we'll start by managing customers. So we have two things. We can enter a new customer, which is going to take customer information and write to the MySQL database, or we can modify an existing customer that's in the database, which is really just being able to change their names. So we'll make a new customer. Maybe, there we go. And we will enter the last name, so I will enter myself into the database. Username, do that. Password, so it needs to be 8 letters and or numbers, and we can put an exclamation point in there too. So we'll make it A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and throw an exclamation point on the end there. So we've created the customer, and then we can go in and manage customers. So let's say I typed in a name, or maybe, yeah, you can see one of the limitations of the program right now, which I talk about in the presentation, is that I can create multiple customers with the same name, which actually could happen, but I'm currently not also verifying usernames, so that's kind of a problem, but a future version could address that. So we'll go ahead and let's pick a different customer. Let's say John Doe instead needs to change the name. Let's say it's not really John Doe, it's really Jane Doe. So we'll go in and enter a new first name, and then we'll go back to customer management and modify customer, and then we can see that John Doe has been changed to Jane Doe, but with the same ID. So notice also that even though like my name appears in there, my wife's name's in there multiple times, they have different IDs, so they are unique records in the database, but there really needs to be a way of checking for an existing username, but that'll come in a future version. So go out of there, so we can add customers. We can go into customer transactions. So this is where the login feature comes in. So we can either enter a username and password, or we can cancel and just return back to the main menu. So let's go ahead and enter a username and password. So the username I made before, Roy Chance. The password is ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's enter the password incorrectly. So notice that it gives me an error message: incorrect username and or password, 2 attempts remaining, try again. So what's going to happen if I keep entering it incorrectly is it'll just go down to 0 attempts and then just take me back to the login screen. It doesn't lock the account or anything like might happen in a real world application. So let's enter username and password again, and we'll enter it correctly. 4 with an exclamation point. It finds it in the database, brings me into the transaction menu, and this is identical to the previous class. I did not implement any new user stories for the customer transactions. So we can get the monthly statement just to see what's going on. So it still creates a checking account, creates a savings account, gave me some interest, creates a loan account, charged me some interest and a late fee because I didn't make a loan payment. So otherwise it pretty much works exactly the same. So let's go ahead and mess a few things up. So if I go into customer management, enter a new customer, I must have hit a couple keys. So notice that I tried to enter a blank last name, so last name has to be at least 2 characters, up to 100. So we'll put in, let's see, let's put Aaron Rodgers in. So put Aaron in, and username, so So we'll just call in AR. Password has to be at least 8. So if I say like AR again, it's going to give me an error. Password has to be 8 to 200 characters. Can only contain letters, numbers, and the special characters. So if I try to do something like that, it shouldn't take it. And then if I put a password in like Aaron, Aaron Pack, something like that, it should take it just fine. So there's the password. We already saw what happens if we enter invalid credentials. It'll reject that. So that is the new banking application for CST235.